I've often said that I've probably cleaned more toilets than anyone in this room. My first job was at a Denny's. I was a dishwasher, then a busboy. I lived in the back of the house, surrounded by the heat of the kitchen and the relentless pace of a restaurant that never closed its doors. People ask me about my routine today, how I manage a company that sits at the center of the global economy, but the truth is that my routine was forged in those aisles, clearing tables and scrubbing floors. Cleaning toilets taught me something fundamental that I carry into every board meeting and every product review. No job is beneath you. If you want to build something that lasts, you have to be willing to do the hard work, the dirty work, and you have to do it with a level of excellence that borders on the obsessive. When you're a busboy, you learn how to be efficient. You learn how to prioritize. You learn how to move with a sense of urgency because the next party is already waiting at the door. That is the same urgency we feel at NVIDIA every single day. We are always 30 days from going out of business, not because of our bank account, but because of our mindset. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment you start to die. My daily routine isn't about biohacking or waking up at 4 a.m. to jump into an ice bath. It's about intellectual rigor. It's about stripping away everything that doesn't matter so that we can focus on the first principles of the problems we are trying to solve. When I wake up, I don't look at a calendar filled with back-to-back social engagements or ceremonial meetings. I look for the hardest problems in the company. I look for the places where physics and logic are colliding. My routine is designed to maximize my time for thinking and for being with our engineers. I have a very flat organization. I have about 50 direct reports. Most CEOs have 8 or 10. They have layers of management that filter information before it ever reaches their desk. I don't want filtered information. I don't want a status report. A status report is a polished version of the truth, usually designed to make the person writing it look good. I want the raw truth. I want to be in the middle of the mess because that is where the innovation happens. In our company, we don't do one-on-one meetings. If I have something to say to a leader, I say it in front of the whole group. We want a shared context. We want everyone to hear the reasoning, the first principles, and the logic behind every decision. This isn't just a management style, it's an architectural choice for the company. If you want to move at the speed of light, you cannot have silos. You cannot have information trapped in someone's inbox. My routine is built around this transparency. I spend my day in meetings that are open, where the best idea wins regardless of whose mouth it comes out of. We are a learning machine, and a machine only works if the data flows freely. This brings me to why we do what we do. We are living through the single greatest shift in the history of computing. For 60 years, the industry followed a very predictable path. It was the era of the CPU and general-purpose computing. We relied on Moore's law to give us more performance every year for the same cost and power. But Moore's law is dead. The physics of the transistor have reached their limit. We can no longer just wait for the hardware to get faster. Yet, the world's appetite for data and intelligence is growing exponentially. This is a fundamental contradiction. If we stayed on the old path, the cost of computing would become so high that it would stall human progress. We saw this coming 15 years ago. We realized that the only way forward was accelerated computing. Accelerated computing isn't just adding a chip to a computer, it is a total reinvention of the stack. You have to rewrite the software, reinvent the algorithms, redesign the systems, and rethink the networking. It is incredibly hard. It's the kind of problem that most companies would walk away from because it's too risky and too complex. But that is exactly why we ran toward it. At NVIDIA, we have a saying, we look for $0 billion markets. We look for things that nobody else is doing, things that the world doesn't even know it needs yet. We don't want to compete for market share in an existing category. We want to create categories that shouldn't exist. We want to build things that are so difficult that if we don't do them, they won't happen at all. When I'm in the middle of my day navigating the complexities of a $4 trillion empire, I am constantly asking, what are the first principles here? Whether it's a problem with a new Blackwell chip or a strategic move in the data center market, we go back to the physics. We don't look at what our competitors are doing. We don't look at industry trends. We ask, what is the theoretical limit of what can be done? If the physics say it's possible, then it's just an engineering problem. And engineering problems, no matter how hard, can be solved with enough persistence and enough pain and suffering. I often tell students that I wish them doses of pain and suffering. People think I'm joking, but I'm not. You cannot develop resilience in a comfortable environment. You cannot build a company like NVIDIA without going through the fire. Our routine as a company is to constantly put ourselves in positions where we might fail. We take massive bets on the future because we trust our logic. We trusted our logic when we bet on CUDA in 2006, even though the stock market hated it and the industry thought we were crazy. We spent billions of dollars and years of work before the world finally caught up to the idea that GPUs could do more than just render pixels. We suffered for a decade so that we could be an overnight success when the AI revolution finally hit. That resilience is built into our daily operations. We don't celebrate the stock price. We don't celebrate the valuation. We celebrate the impossible bug that we finally squashed. We celebrate the breakthrough in a large language model that makes it 10% more efficient. My routine is to stay grounded in that technical excellence. I don't have a desk. I don't have a corner office with a view. I move around the building. I sit where the work is happening. I want to be accessible to the ideas, not the bureaucracy. Running a global empire is not about management in the traditional sense. It's about leadership through vision and transparency. It's about creating an environment where the most talented people in the world feel like they are doing their life's work. My job is to make sure we are always looking 10 years ahead while simultaneously being obsessed with the details of what we are shipping today. We are building the AI factories of the future. We are building the infrastructure for a new industrial revolution. In the old industrial revolution, the raw material was water and the product was steam power. In this new revolution, the raw material is data and the product is intelligence. This intelligence will be used to solve everything from climate change to drug discovery. To do this, we have to maintain our culture of humility. Humility is not about being weak, it's about being honest with yourself. It's about admitting when a strategy isn't working and having the courage to pivot immediately. We have pivoted many times. We have abandoned whole product lines that were successful because we realized they weren't the future. This is what it means to run, don't walk. It means having the agility to move before the market forces you to. If you wait until you have to move, you're already too late. You have to move when it's still painful to do so. My day is a constant cycle of learning. I spend a significant portion of my time reading, talking to experts, and trying to understand the next set of first principles that will define the next decade. I am an engineer at heart. I want to know how things work. I want to know why they don't work. And I want to know how we can make them work a million times better. That is the Jensen Huang routine. It is a relentless pursuit of the next breakthrough, fueled by the same work ethic I had when I was 13 years old, washing dishes and hoping I wouldn't break too many plates. We are currently at the dawn of the most transformative era in human history. The generative AI we see today is just the first application. We are moving toward a world of physical AI, where robots and autonomous systems will interact with the world around them in ways we can only imagine. We are building the brains for those systems. We are building the simulation environments where they will learn. We are building the networks that will connect them. This is the work of our lives. It is a privilege and a heavy responsibility. The weight of a $4 trillion valuation doesn't change the routine. It only raises the stakes. It means that our mistakes are more expensive and our successes are more impactful. But the process remains the same. You start with the physics. You build a flat, transparent organization. You embrace the suffering. You run as fast as you can toward the hardest problems you can find, and you never, ever think you've finished. Every day, I am reminded that the structure of our company is as much an engineering feat as the architecture of our chips. Most people think that as a company grows to trillions of dollars in value, it must become more bureaucratic, more layered, and more cautious. I believe the exact opposite must happen. To stay at the cutting edge, we must remain a lean, mean learning machine. That is why I have 50 direct reports. People tell me that's impossible, that no one can manage 50 people. They're right. I don't manage them. I don't need to tell them when to go to work or how to do their jobs. My job is to provide them with the ultimate context, the shared vision, and the first principles that allow them to make world-class decisions without me. This is how we scale. This is how we maintain the agility of a startup while wielding the resources of a global titan. In my routine, there is no room for the vanity of the corner office. I don't have a desk because a desk is a barrier. It's a piece of furniture that says, I am here and you are there. I want to be where the problems are. I spend my time in the labs, in the conference rooms, and in the hallways. I want to hear the sound of engineers arguing over a thermal constraint or a software bottleneck. That is the music of innovation. When I'm in those rooms, I'm not there to give orders. I'm there to learn. I ask questions until I understand the physics of the obstacle. And once we understand the physics, the solution becomes obvious. That is the beauty of first principles thinking. It strips away the politics, the egos, and the industry standards that usually hold people back. The $4 trillion empire we have built is not a destination. It is a platform. It is a responsibility. We are the foundation upon which the next era of human civilization is being built. When you realize that the world's most important companies are betting their entire future on your roadmap, you don't wake up feeling powerful. You wake up feeling a profound sense of duty. You realize that you cannot afford to have a bad day. You cannot afford to be complacent. This is why I am so obsessed with the AI factory. We are moving into a world where intelligence is manufactured at scale. Every country will need its own sovereign AI. Every company will have its own digital brain. This is the new utility. Just as the steam engine replaced muscle power and electricity replaced the dark, AI will replace the limitations of human cognitive bandwidth. My routine is focused on ensuring that NVIDIA stays 3 steps ahead of this revolution. I spend a lot of time thinking about what happens after the current wave. We are already looking at the next decade of robotics and physical AI. We are building the systems that will allow AI to understand the laws of physics, to interact with the world, and to reason through complex tasks. To do this, we have to solve problems that don't even have names yet. We have to invent new ways of moving data, new ways of cooling chips, and new ways of writing software. It is a constant process of destruction and creation. We have to be willing to kill our own best products to make room for something better. If we don't do it, someone else will. People ask me if I'm tired. I've been doing this for over 30 years, but how could I be tired? We are witnessing the birth of a new intelligence. We are the architects of a new world. Every time I see a new breakthrough in drug discovery or a new way to predict climate change using our technology, I am re-energized. This is the work of a lifetime. This is why I cleaned those toilets at Denny's. This is why I stood in front of the CEO of Sega and begged for our company's life. Every struggle, every failure, and every dose of pain and suffering was a preparation for this moment. Character is not built in the sunshine. It is built in the storm. NVIDIA is a company of survivors. We are a company that knows what it's like to be ignored, to be mocked, and to be left for dead. That history is our greatest strength. It keeps us humble. It keeps us hungry, and it keeps us focused on the only thing that matters, building things that the world didn't know it was missing until we created them. My daily routine is a reflection of this philosophy. It is a routine of total immersion. I don't believe in work-life balance in the way most people describe it. I believe in life's work. If you love what you do, if you believe in the mission, the work is not a burden. It is a gift. I wake up every day thinking about how we can push the boundaries of accelerated computing 1 inch further. I go to bed thinking about the problems we didn't solve today and how we will tackle them tomorrow. We are living in the most exciting time in history. The barrier between imagination and reality is thinning every day. If you can conceive of a problem, we can now build the tools to solve it. Whether it is curing disease, exploring the stars, or creating a sustainable future for our planet, the engine of that progress is accelerated computing. So I have a message for the next generation of engineers, entrepreneurs, and dreamers. Don't look for the easy path. Don't look for the comfortable routine. Look for the hardest problem you can find. Look for the thing that keeps you up at night, and then run toward it. Don't wait for the perfect conditions. Don't wait for someone to give you permission. The world is changing too fast for walkers. If you want to build an empire, if you want to change the course of history, you have to be willing to suffer for your vision. You have to be willing to operate from first principles when everyone else is following the crowd. And most importantly, you have to maintain that sense of urgency, that feeling that you are always 30 days away from bankruptcy, because that is where the magic happens. That is where you find the strength to do the impossible. The journey ahead of us is even more challenging than the one behind us. We are moving into the era of the trillion parameter model, the era of the humanoid robot, and the era of the digital twin Earth. We are going to need every bit of our resilience and every bit of our ingenuity to navigate this future. But I have never been more confident. I see the talent in our hallways. I see the passion in our community. I see the future, and it is being built on NVIDIA. I want to thank you for coming along on this journey with me. This is not just my story or NVIDIA's story. It is the story of what humans can achieve when we refuse to accept the limits of the present. We are building the future together, one transistor at a time. The logical conclusion of everything we are doing is clear. We are entering an age where the only limit to human progress will be our own imagination. We have the tools. We have the power. Now we must have the courage to use them. Run, don't walk. Run toward the future. Run toward the impossible. Run toward the version of yourself that is waiting on the other side of the challenge. Before I sign off, I want to invite you to stay connected with our mission. If you want to see more of how we are building the future, please subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. It helps us grow our community of innovators. And if you have questions about my routine, our strategy, or where NVIDIA is headed next, please leave them in the comments below. I will be looking through them, and I promise to respond to as many as I can as quickly as possible. I want to hear from you. The future is being written right now. Don't just watch it happen. Be the one who writes it. Run, don't walk.